Hi Scorpio, welcome to your full moon reading with me, Veroosh. This is the full moon in July, and we're going to talk about this full moon and next full moon a little bit. First, I'm going to roll the dice to see what's up in terms of them. We have the ace. This isn't just the ace of clubs because there's no other ace available, but ace of clubs is pretty good. Then we have nine of spades twice. So it's more of a 9 than a 9 of spades, okay? If you're curious. So something's beginning, something's ending. There's a flower power. I just think that's like good vibes, hippie energy for you, good times. I have good things to tell you about your astrology today. And then we have Mercury. Hey, girl, hey. Mercury. Actually, this is the biggest. The full moon's impactful for you, but it's not as... there's a really nice transit for you this weekend on the 24th and 25th. Let me tell you about it first. How about that? So the full moon's nice. We'll talk about it in a second. But there is a very nice frequency for Scorpios this weekend. And that is the trine between Neptune and Mercury. If you have placements between 15 to 27 degrees of 26 degrees of Scorpio, this completes a grand water trine for you. So you should be feeling better and better through this weekend. It's actually a weekend in which I would recommend that if you have placements up here in Scorpio, you in some way allow yourself to expand possibilities, reach out, basically just do more, bring more into your life and feed into the inspiration you are feeling. This is going to be a very inspiring transit. This transit only happens once a year, right? Because Mercury has to be in Cancer. And it will only happen a couple more times before Neptune's in Aries. So until that point, you guys, enjoy this transit. I'll mention it each time, but it's going to hit Scorpio in a beautiful way. And if you don't have placements in Scorpio, you're kind of out of luck. So you're really in the driver's seat here with this frequency. So it's Mercury, Neptune, and late placing Scorpio transits. The moon in Cancer will do the similar thing, but that's for another story. But not the same as Mercury. Mercury's so much more. Mercury, Neptune, in some way, expands horizons and allows you to really embrace the possibilities or like speak reality into action, to really define what you want. The moon is much more internal and much more passive, whereas Mercury is very much more assertive, yang energy. And so, you can make dreams a reality at this time. So the Neptune Mercury connection allows you to have the vision in the first place. But then Mercury in some way makes it real, and it makes it real in your 9th house, which expands your horizons. So even if you can't get out of your city or wherever you're at, you can still expand your horizons by reading a book, by making a plan to go somewhere else. It's a very nice frequency. I'm super excited for it. You guys know that I do these readings randomly, right? I throw the dice right here, and I go one by one. It's a way to avoid offending anyone. And I like it because I don't like going sequentially because it's very redundant then. So this way it kind of keeps me on my toes. And I feel like the order itself comes in a specific synchronistic way anyway. So that's a nice thing as well. So what about this full moon? So I have so many jokes. Like, listen, the energy at the beginning of this week was a little bit intense. Coming out of last weekend, there was a lot of squares. It was a lot of like, duck your head, stay out of the way sort of energy. But now as we're heading towards the full moon, I'm filming this on Thursday the 22nd, so about 48 hours almost, just under like 40 hours before the full moon. I'm feeling like more hopeful than ever. I did write a collective astrology message for everyone. It's not very astrological. It's based on the astrology, but it's just the conclusions without telling you the transits and whatnot. If you're a member, there's a astrology breakdown for you guys that's also linked. in the corner here and down at the bottom. Both videos will be linked at the end of the video in the cards and in the description. But that video, in some way, essentially what that video is telling me, and what I think everybody needs to know, is that this full moon is a two-parter. Starts right now and carries on until August. It's actually a part of a bigger frequency of the transit until December. In December, a few things happen. Jupiter moves back into Pisces. That's a water sign like yours. And the North Node moves into Taurus, and the South Node moves into Scorpio. You guessed it. So what that means is that for your sign and signs like yours, you're in a preparatory state, because in December the energy shifts to water in a big way, and that is when a lot of things will really begin. But it's not a begin like you don't need to do anything up until now. The point is that these two full moons in Aquarius are sort of the starting point, and they connect with the square between Saturn and Uranus. All of these things are happening together astrologically. And so, from now, July, until December, we're in that. It's like a chunk of time that correlates together. And so the two full moons, one on July 23rd at 1 degree of Aquarius, and the second full moon at 29 degrees Aquarius, they're working together, right? It's not like, how do you say, astrologically, they're not in an angle to each other. The significance is that the first one is at 1 degree something, and then the second one is at 29 degrees, which is a very special degree. So that's significant, but it just adds to the energy. And at that same time, when we have the second one, I'll talk about it later, but I mentioned this in the collective, there's a square between Saturn and Uranus, right? And right now, Uranus is direct in your 7th house, Scorpio, but then in next month, in August, it'll go retrograde. And that will begin, once again, Saturn moving towards Uranus. They're once again beginning to form their last and final square this year. There's been 3. So we're really this full moon is really a precursor. And the point is that at this time, it all starts. And so be mindful of how you start. Be mindful of your energy. And for you, the full moon is I would say this is probably one of the most sensitive points in the chart. Because we often talk about the MC coming out of your shell, doing lots of different things. But this point here along the IC is where you were really coming into life and learning about life, learning about who you are in it. And so the full moon brings that frequency out. So I started feeling a lot better from the squares, like Monday and on Sunday, Lilith and Gemini, right? I started feeling better and more like light with this frequency. And so I started making jokes like, oh, Scorpio, it's time to take over the world. And I had like Pinky in the brain, like, use the brain. It's time to take over the world, Pinky. Like this kind of vibe. And I'm joking about that, but it really, frequency is starting for you at this point. And so whatever's going on in your life, and I do hope it's of a kind nature, I'm sure it is. It's really starting with this full moon. So it may be subtle. It may be in the undercurrents for you. It might be private. You're busy, very busy, I would say, at this time, sort of rushing around quite a lot. But it's all like, what will come of this will be amazing. Okay. So, the ruler of Aquarius is Saturn in the traditional sense, and Uranus in the modern. And so Saturn is here in the 4th house with Aquarius. So transformations around the home, renovations, work on the home, those kinds of things. And then Saturn is on a sextile to Chiron in the 6th house, which means that you're addressing at this time, Scorpio, a lot of things that have been sitting around needing to get addressed. So this is the perfect time to do it. There's actually a sequence that I've put on my community page that I'll show you that's relevant for you, especially all of us, that will develop into a beautiful harmony later on at the end of the month that I'll show you later. But for now, there's a connection between the South Node in Sagittarius to Saturn, to Chiron, and to the North Node. And so what you want to achieve in your material world, you're in some way healing certain aspects of yourself, like the things you need to do, your environment, in order to bridge the gap and go into the direction to build relationships with appropriate people so that you can manifest your hopes, and especially things that maybe the past life or your early development didn't allow for. So you're really releasing things at this time. So it's a very nice, Scorpio, very nice. And so look at this time, July through August, as a preparatory phase. August, we'll talk about that separate, the full moon at 29 degrees of Aquarius. But for now, just sit there and pay attention and do your stuff. And then we'll have the full moon in Aquarius in August at 29 degrees. And then in December, we're going to shift the nodes, right? And you're going to get the South Node here. So it's a lot of getting rid of who you were before and a lot of moving towards what you want in terms of partnerships. It's a very nice, people around you will help to define you over the next year. And so right now you're sort of getting ready for that. So honor yourself, honor your environment, do the things you need to do, and get ready, because when that happens, the more present, the more availability you have to be with others, to care for others, to show others concern and care, the better the outcome will be. So that will be beneficial to you. So big transformation, Scorpio, get ready. I feel like you and Virgo also have this very strong preparatory energy. So Virgos are just gonna I'm not fall off the map, not disappear off the map, but sort of you're not gonna, they're gonna be busy. I'm a Virgo. We're gonna be busy. and so I feel like, there's this huge preparation that both signs are going through. Virgo and Scorpio sextile each other. It's a 60-degree angle. It's a very strong angle, and so it's kind of two sides of the two sides of the same coin sort of frequency. Often, like, similar things are happening in our lives, but we just process them differently, so that you can find mirrors in that. So definitely a preparatory phase for that shift into the nodes and Jupiter into Pisces. So it's not a bad energy for you now. It's just get down to business sort of thing. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say for you, Scorpio, today. We have the 5 of Swords. Okay, so this is Saturn in Aquarius, in the first decan of as the modern ruler, right? So I think so. 5 of Swords, 6 of Swords, 5 of Swords. Yeah, it's Saturn or Venus is the ruler of the first decan. So that's where the moon is. We have the 3 of Wands, and then we have the 6 of Pentacles, and that is moon in Taurus energy. The moon is coming up into Taurus right after the full moon, within a week. We have the Last Judgment, Pluto, and a big decision on a personal level can be achieved at this time. We have the Temperance card also. Let's see what else. We have Hanged Man, which is Neptune. Very nice frequencies. Lots of higher arcana right there in the middle. 4 of Wands. Okay. Jupiter in Aries, I think. And then we have the Knight of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. And let's see, what else? We have the King of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. And last but not least, let's see, the Hermit, Virgo. It's so funny that I was mentioning Virgo so much. Now, full transparency, I'm a Virgo Scorpio with Aquarius placements. So 3 of Swords, Saturn and Libra. Okay, Saturn and Libra, this 3 of Swords has been coming up a lot in the last few readings, but whenever it comes up, it has a much less intense frequency than like heartbreak. So I think that we can step back with the 3 of Swords from looking at it as betrayal, loss. It's some kind of emotional discomfort that you're experiencing, to bring awareness. Now, listen, this full moon is right between Saturn and Pluto, right? And so it's not, if you look at the pattern, we have the inner planets traveling together in direct motion at the top of your chart. That's Venus, Mars, Sun, the moon. They're all going direct, right? And on the other side are all the outer planets, which have to do with like our collective, government, people around us, us versus everyone else sort of thing, the outside world. And the moon is with it at this time. So the moon is in some way bringing messages. I got into this more with the members astrology, so if you're a member, go check it out. But the moon is bringing in this outside frequency to the personal, as there's like messages about the state of the world, state of your world, Scorpio, and what it's all about. So it's bringing information to you and telling you exactly what you need to know. Okay, so I feel as though you're making a huge decision, and it's not an easy decision about where you are going. You're going to make a decision about someone. It's very likely an air sign, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, and somebody's putting things on the line for you. There's a bit of an ultimatum. It could be a choice between friends where you feel like you have to decide, you have to choose one or the other. And so I feel as though, or maybe choose to be alone and not go along with someone else's agenda. Because I really feel like this Knight of Swords, for now anyway, is being phased out. There's a conflict over someone. It could be a conflict over the King of Wands, a Sag, Leo, or Aries. And it's been long time sort of brewing. Listen, Scorpio, you need to trust your discernment on these things. These things, albeit might be hurtful on some level to have to say no to someone. But I think that your conviction is the insightful way. You're the Hermit, right? And so it's, what I see here is a lot of delays. Now we have these 2 9s really make sense. And I feel like somebody wanted something specific. They wanted something to either happen, or they wanted, they had a perspective that somebody was very invested in a certain behavior or for something to happen. And after deliberation, I think you came to the awareness that whatever this person was pushing you towards or trying to convince you of was not the right path, right? And so, yes, in some way, it's hard to put your foot down vis-a-vis others and turn them away, but also at the same time, you're comfortable in your decision. The decision you've made is a sound one, right? So you know where your priorities are, and you know exactly what is important. And so there's a big decision that you are making after a significant amount of delays. Some information had to come out, or some information had to come out, or something had to be said. So maybe you had to wait to see what the real the circumstances were. Maybe you had to wait to see what all the factors that were happening meant. And so now I feel like you have you've already had the information, and now you're making a decision. And so I feel like there's been a lot of waiting for an answer to happen. And so now the answer is made and you're making a decision about what the right path is. It's not necessarily like the easiest situation. That's why we have the Three of Swords, but it's the right one. You're making the right decision in the right way. And so with this moon, hold on, I moved the thing by mistake. And with this moon here, down here with Saturn and Pluto right at your IC, this is like a karmic situation. You're deciding about your relationship with someone. You're deciding about the foundation of things. And I think that I really sense as though there was someone who was pressuring a certain type of, somebody was very like in trying to influence a situation in a strong way, and it may be over the King of Wands, a Sag, Leo, or Aries. And so I think that you have a careful approach with regard to this person. I think you have a careful approach to what's going on, and I think you're seeing them go. I think you've decided, and this is the last judgment. You've decided about what you want, or you've decided on what you are doing, and so now you are settling into that decision with this full moon. That's a very nice energy. So whatever you've decided and whoever you've stood against, this really feels like friend influence, family influence, or otherwise. I feel like, yeah, whatever influence around you, this has come up for Scorpio a lot, especially this Knight of Swords, King of Wands kind of situation. And to me, it feels like there's been people around you for a while now, like even a year or two, that have been in some way pressing an issue. And this isn't like a constant each time you see them, but the undercurrent of your relationship has this is the expectation in relation to them. This could be a romantic situation for some of you. This could be friends. This could be coworkers. But I feel like somebody's been trying to convince you of a lot, and I feel like it didn't work. And I think that's sound. I think you had to see for yourself. And now that you've seen, you know exactly what the answer is. So patience has won again. That's the thing about Scorpios. You guys are so patient. You'll just sit there and you'll wait and you'll see. Even if it's like you feel like everything else is on pause, you'll wait to see the truth of a situation. So I don't think this is necessarily like a bad person or a negative. It's a negative influence on your decision making. It's someone who could be trying to influence you for their own reasons, right? And it's kind of like, it's sad because it's like, oh, okay, so this is how the cookie crumbles, right? But you have the Four of Wands, so you're very comfortable in it, and now you can focus on other things like your circumstances at home and like the things around you that make you happy. So a situation is probably over at this time. There's some kind of like the agenda pushing is over. And so now I think that you're firm in what's going on and which direction you're taking. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to make the energy real. I'll just add that Mercury is in the fold here, right? And Mercury is in your 9th house and creating a grand trine to Neptune, as we said in the beginning. So at this time, you are taking an expansion point. This is a good time for this situation to transform and for you to kind of push forward in your direction that you want to be going in. Thank you so much for watching, and the collective reading is right there. See you soon. Bye.